This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-790-9617. That's 800-790-9617. What do you have to lose? Call 800-790-9617. Again, 800-790-9617.
I spent years in the Marine Corps learning discipline, attention to detail, and how to do the job right. I'm Jim Melchert, and these standards stayed with me when I founded Garage Store here in Chicagoland. Your garage is probably the most neglected part of the house. Cracked floors, clutter everywhere, and a lot of wasted space. Garage Store provides solutions for that. Built for Chicago weather, our beautiful, durable floor coatings can be installed in just 2 days. We also install heavy-duty cabinets, overhead storage, even vehicle lifts. From floor to ceiling, your garage will be transformed into a space you'll be proud of and a space your friends will envy. Plus, our in-house, professional, respectful crew delivers timely installs. See why thousands of Chicagoans are transforming their garages with Garage Store.
Schedule your free in-home garage makeover estimate today. Call 847-428-8862 or visit garage-store.com. That's garage-store.com. Garage Store, built on service, driven by quality.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
The following live program is sponsored by Breakthrough Ideas.
AM 560, The Answer. It's time for breaking news, expert insight, and informed commentary on what's happening in Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. Because an informed citizenry is the only way to protect our republic. It's time for The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson.
We finally found her. Good morning and welcome to The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson.
You found her. She can stay lost as far as I'm concerned, but go ahead.
Well, Stacey Davis Gates, CTU president, and now she's president of the IFT.
Yes.
Which is, for those people who don't know,
the Illinois Federation of Teachers. So it is another union for teachers. There's also the NEA and the IEA, the Illinois Education Association. But the IFT typically deals with higher education.
Okay. Well, her first act when she became president, guess what she did? Just take a guess, Jeanne.
I don't know. Called for school to be off because she was, I don't know.
No, she donated $5,000 to Mayor Johnson.
Of course she did.
Of course she did. Yes, that's what they do. So, sorry, I turned off my ringer. So she sat down with Tamon Bradley from WGN. He's a new political reporter. He has a half-hour show
I know
daily.
Tom and
you do? Yes.
Yeah, I've dealt with him before.
And so CTU is, arguably the most powerful force in Chicago politics. And they only won 7 of 13 races or for candidates that they backed. And he asked about that, is CTU becoming toxic? We love the word toxic.
All right, let's talk a little politics, because the candidates that the CTU backed in the primary election for state positions, 7 of the 13 contested contests, you guys lost. And Tony Preckwinkle did not seek your endorsement. Has your brand become toxic?
I don't understand the question.
Well, you're not winning 100% of your elections. You invested $2 million in the.
We've never won 100%.
Nobody does, but you spent $2 million in the primary contest. There was a lot of there are other people that are spending against you. There are all these fights going on. how is the CTU brand doing? I mean, there's polling that shows you guys are not particularly popular in the city.
So a couple of things, now that I understand the question, is that the Chicago Teachers Union isn't a political party. It is a labor union. And I think what you also have to understand is that we use the electoral space to organize a platform for something. And so if you look year after year, we're not trying to win the race, we're trying to win the argument. So if you look over time as to how we helped to win the first ever elected school board in the city of Chicago, you'll see a trail of races that we lost on our way to winning the Chicago Board of Elections being an elected body.
312-642-5600. You can call us or you can text us.
That is a pack of lies. They only care about winning political races because they are a political organization, and that is their one thing that they do well. They invest in the politicians who will invest in their agenda. And anybody who wants to dispute that is really very, very naive.
But of all the whoppers that she told in this interview with WGN, including twice denying that the CTU is a political party. Really? They're not a political party? Okay. Her claim that the CTU is transparent and practices democracy was, I think, by far, Jeannie, her biggest lie.
Mayor Johnson, if he seeks re-election, will face voters in 10 months. Will you be all in for him?
Mayor Johnson will also face the Political Action Committee of the Chicago Teachers Union. He knows that, as he used to help lead that committee. And he'll talk to our committee about what it has meant to be mayor, what it has meant, and the impact of his work. And they'll make a recommendation, and we'll take it through our House of Delegates. This union operates on the highest level of transparency and democracy. That is the one thing that helps to create the power that people talk about a lot. Turns out, when you ask people to participate and engage in activities that benefit them, that they will do that. And they'll do that because you've committed to sharing information, giving them a right to say something,
it's all just a pack of lies.
I just can't even take any more of her.
Well,
I mean, forget it.
Well, the thing is, too, that she was against tax credit scholarships.
Well, they passed that as a resolution that the entire Chicago Public Schools, the CTU, is all against the tax credit scholarship.
But she's taking advantage. See, she tried to hide the fact that her son was at, we all know, he was at De La Salle. And she slid, well, I had to send him to that school because, he's so great in this specific sport that he plays soccer, that he needed to go to that school. He couldn't go to the neighborhood school, okay, because they didn't have a strong program. Welsh.
Well, Chris Welch's son is doing the same thing. He went to Timothy Christian. He is now going to Nazareth, a Catholic school.
But he's bragging about it all over social media. Stacey Davis Gates tried to hide it.
Yeah.
Until we found out, some other Republicans, we found out what she was doing. And it's so pathetic. But here's one last thing. I know you don't want to hear from her, but you don't need a man, Jeannie. Okay, just wait for it.
You say you're not a political organization. Now, granted, they're conservative groups that have put this out, but I mean, there was one study that showed 80% of your spending is on political activity. You're a political party.
Our activity in this union is to secure contracts that provide smaller classes all across the city with limits for the first time ever. Our political activity is to ensure that Black students have a success plan in order to undo the harm of years of marginal educational opportunities. Our political activity is to make sure that our lowest wage workers, Black women who live on the south and west sides of Chicago, have a wage in which they can pay their rent, they can go to the grocery store, and that they can maintain a standard of living. Our political work is to ensure that women have the ability to sustain life without a husband.
Okay, that is just, I mean, that is really their problem. Their problem is single mothers living in black ghetto neighborhoods that are gang infested and have to fend for themselves. And I don't know how you change that culturally. They're going to have to if they want any reform. But I mean, everybody knows how bad CPS is. She knows it herself. Something like 35% of the teachers send their own kids. CPS teachers send their own kids to a private school.
But I honestly, if I looked at the high school that I worked at for 7 years, not one of the counselors, not one, Jeannie, sent their kids to CPS. And even the principal and the assistant principal, nobody sent their kids to Chicago Public Schools.
Well, I mean, and listen, more money isn't the answer. A new study out that Unleash Prosperity put out on their hotline shows that red states on average spend about $14,000 per student, and blue states on average spend over $21,000 per student. And the difference in their NAEP scores, which is the National Assessment of Educational Progress, is literally 0.4 points. So like negligible, like not even a difference really. And so, you know, what are you getting for your 50% more spend? You're getting essentially nothing. And I mean, that is where the state of Illinois is. Of course, famously, everybody around X has been talking about Douglas High School, you know, a public high school with space for 912 kids, and yet there's only 28 students enrolled.
28, which means that they're spending $93,000 per student, 28 enrolled, 28 cannot read, not one.
None of them. None of them are at grade level in math or reading.
But that's the thing. Why are they keeping these huge, colossal schools open if you have 28 students?
Well, listen, I have to hand it to State Representative Marty McLaughlin. He is a Republican from Barrington, and he sits on the Education Appropriations Committee for K-12 education. I sat on that committee for 6 years, and it's where you get a lot of the folks coming to you asking for money, explaining their budget. And so Marty McLaughlin had the state superintendent, Tony Sanders, who came from the failed school district of U46. Elgin. Failed school district.
He was a crazy COVID
student.
COVID. He would lock people in closets. That guy was out of his mind.
He was out of his mind. I remember that story. But anyway, McLaughlin, listen to these numbers, because he puts it to Tony Sanders about the decrease in student population, but the increase in both teachers and administrators. Where is your money going? Take a listen.
9 years ago, and please help fact check me here, it appeared that the total number of public students in public schools was just over 2,041,000 is the numbers that I have. The number as of 2025 was 1.848 million, so roughly a 200,000 student drop. So I found that a little interesting, since I keep being told we're growing in population in Illinois, and maybe we're growing in older people and not in K through 12. I wanted to point out the number of administrators that we had in the public school system was 11,833, and with a drop in 200,000 students, we added last year 13,400 highly paid administrators. Service personnel, 37,000 up to 46,000 in the last 9 years. And then this one, I couldn't believe it, because I keep hearing about our teacher shortages. And we were at 122,000, and just to put this in perspective, both my sisters and my mother are teachers, and today we're at 135,000 teachers in the public school system. So by my calculation, that's 15,000 more teachers, 1.5 thousand more administrators teaching 200,000 less children in Illinois. Does that sound right to you?
Yes, okay. That sounds right.
So there you go. So don't tell me that we don't have the inputs to get the right output, but we're not getting the output. The discussion went on about evidence-based funding and all this other stuff, and I'd like to go into that in much more detail, but that would take actually an entire hour to discuss, and maybe we do that, because the evidence-based funding model is a total joke, and it was based on putting in 34 inputs that are supposed to then create this model school, this model environment where you're supposed to get perfect outcomes for your students. And this is what we have been spending, literally billions of dollars more over the course of the last 8 years right now. They've got 2 more years to go this year, next year, and to be fully funded. Yet almost nobody is fully funded. Well, actually, 1/3 of the schools are fully funded, but it's all a joke because they're not putting the new money that comes in into the right inputs that they said would bring out the right outputs. This is all such a joke, and I can't even explain it in this short amount of time because I guarantee you that there are maybe 2 people plus the state board and some administrators who are in on the problem. There's maybe just a handful of us who actually understand the evidence-based funding formula, and it is a total joke. One of them is me. The other one's Ted Dabrowski.
Well, one thing that really bothers me is that why didn't Tamon Bradley ask her when she said, "Oh no, we have complete transparency"? She's under congressional investigation for failing to release mandatory financial audits for the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that's why I thought that had something to do with her medical leave or 2-time medical leave. But,
that's why I'm not a fan of some of these reporters. They just don't ask the tough questions.
He has an exclusive. Yeah. She's sitting right there, lying through her teeth saying, no, we're very transparent. 312-642-5600. Let's go to Robert in Bloomingdale. Good morning. You're on The Real Story. Hi, Robert.
Guys. Hi, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a shame that you got these teachers' unions that are putting the political activism over the students. That's supposed to be known to 3 hours. My question to you would be, how do you get rid of these unions so we can take back the state? I thought Illinois was an at-will employment state. I know the rules change, but how can we change it where we can get back to taking over the state for the people of Illinois, and especially students, because we're way behind in this country in reading and arithmetic. What do you think?
Robert, that's not going to happen anytime soon. You're going to have to completely put in a new constitutional amendment because they enshrined Amendment 1 into the Constitution, which gives unions super rights compared to the rest of the citizens in this state. That's how into the unions the voters are in this state. They are out of their head, out of their mind. They're crazy. Sorry.
Thanks, Robert, for the phone call. All right, coming up next, a Cook County courtroom filled with GOP supporters. We'll tell you who is there and we'll tell you why. But now you're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
Subscribe to the Real Story podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at 560theanswer.com.
A revolution in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence obsolete. 3 companies are quietly building a $1 trillion triangle to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Investment guru George Gilder has his finger on the 3 companies whose technology could change tech forever. Log on to trilliondollartriangle.com to find out which 3 companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. trilliondollartriangle.com. That's trilliondollartriangle.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high-quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker and my new co-host,
Amy Jacobson.
On AM 560. We wanted you to know that we have a special show every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. here on AM 560, The Answer. It is Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and
Amy Jacobson.
It's every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. 2-hour show, 2-hour radio extravaganza. Amy, we're going to tantalize the listening public and the listening private with all kinds of retirement planning information. So tune in at AM 560 Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
AM 560, The Answer.
Do we have her? All right, welcome back to The Real Story. A lot of people took time out of their day to go to a court hearing. The place was packed. And one of those that was there is Renee Simkis, and she joins us now to tell us which court hearing it was. But I'm sure if some of you listen to this show, you know what it was. Good morning, Renee. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Good. So tell us what happened, because this is the case with Brooke McInerney and his wife, Mosette. He's 72, a retired financial planner. She's 69, a retired special education teacher.
I'm not surprised.
And there's video surveillance capturing the two, pretty much defacing the Wheeling Township Republican GOP office on Rand Road in Arlington Heights. So what happened in court, and who was there?
It was a packed room. So there were people from Wheeling Township and surrounding townships, Palatine, Ela, Vernon, probably well over 40 people. It's not a big courtroom, but it was completely packed. In fact, there was no room for the McNerneys to sit.
Was Darren Bailey and Aaron Delmar there? Aaron Delmar, the Cook County chairperson?
Yes, he was there.
Okay.
Oh, was Darren Bailey there?
No, but Aaron Delmar was there. And John Saletta, the incoming committeeman for Wheeling, as well as other committee folks from all over the suburbs. There was someone else there, and now I don't know why I'm blanking, but yes, Aaron was there in support of John Saletta and Rout, as we call it, Republicans of Wheeling Township. So they were put in the hall by the sheriff, and he basically said, "I'll get you when your name is called." So when the McNerney's name was called, he grabbed him out of the hall, and he kept looking around the room like, "What is going on here? Why are all these people here?" and so it was really hard to hear what was going on. But bottom line is they did plead not guilty. And so now it goes into discovery. I'm not an attorney, so forgive me if I'm not wording it, perfectly in a legal way. But so it goes into discovery, and their next court date is going to be May 15th.
Why did you feel a need to go to attend the hearing?
Well, so I've kind of been active mostly with local candidates, in support. Have done some things with Wheeling. Definitely plan to work with John. Bottom line is we're really tired of this. We're marginalized out in the suburbs, frankly, and 43% of us regularly vote Republican, roughly, in the elections. There's probably more of us that are not going to vote, and there's always an agenda. In terms of locally, the decisions that are being made, it's not factoring in really all the voices, right? And so when there was another vandalism event in December that never got resolved, and there didn't seem to be an appetite to figure out, what happened. And that one was frankly really bad. What was etched into the brick, it was basically a threat. Like more murders need to happen. It was very graphic. I'm not going to say because it's just gross. And so a camera was installed. The second incident happened in January. People are fed up with this. We're just fed up.
Well, tell us what they did, what you can see on camera, because I know you sent me some surveillance tape, and wow.
Yeah.
Defecation, feces, ugh.
Yes. So the woman, she poured some liquid, we don't know what it was, right in front of the door. It was freezing. So imagine, I'm guessing they wanted someone to slip and fall, if it turned into ice. And then, yes, they left feces. He was holding a bag, which turned out to have feces in it, which was found on the sidewalk in front of the office. And then they took Sharpies and put in swastikas and, F word in front of Charlie. There's a banner for Charlie that was put up because he's a native. He was a native of Arlington Heights. Yep, he went to Wheeling High School, and he was active with Rout when he got a start. And so there was a banner to honor him. I don't know if that's what's tipping everyone off, which is also, disgusting. We had a memorial for him in, the North School Park in Arlington Heights, and people were giving a lot of grief over that memorial. And they were able to extend it to a point, but they wanted to shut it down within a couple of days. And it wasn't in the way. It wasn't blocking access to the park. So I think a lot of us we want to support Rout, and we also want to stand up for ourselves. Over 40% of us are Republican.
Okay, so what are you going to do to let other, common sense people understand how these leftists are attacking your organization? Are you going to be putting a flyer together? Are you going to put it on the doors of both Republicans and Independents so they understand what happened? Because I guarantee you that probably the vast majority of Republicans or Republican-leaning or Independents have no idea that this even took place. They don't understand that this is happening in their own community. You should plaster these two people's faces on a actual flyer, and you should put it in people's doors. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, because the mainstream media didn't cover it. I mean, the Daily Herald was there, and it's not even 100 words.
Yeah.
But if it was a Democrat or a Republican doing it to a Democrat office, this would be in segment A of everyone's newscast.
It'd be a front page of Chicago Tribune.
Oh yeah, yeah. But they completely ignored it.
So you got to do something to raise awareness in your own community here. You can't just show up in court.
Yep. No, agreed. So, that's interesting that you say that, Jeanne, because initially when they were booked and the press release came out from the police department, it kind of took off on Facebook. And then I connected Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois, because I know we are the media now, right? You guys are the media now because we don't get the coverage. And she did a live stream about it. And then it took off. So the day they were booked, local coverage happened.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
But the follow-up wasn't there.
An Adcock live stream is not going to cut it all. You're going to have to put this out in black and white in a flyer and put it on people's doors.
All right, Renee, thank you so much. And they go back to court May 12th, and we'll stay on top of this story.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
News. I'm Gianna Gelosi. The Strait of Hormuz is supposed to be open under a ceasefire deal between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, but few ships have passed through so far.
So far, Iran has maintained its tight grip on the vital shipping lane, reportedly telling mediators it will limit traffic to roughly a dozen ships per day, and those ships could have to pay tolls and coordinate with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
That's Fox Business's Connor Hansen. Vice President J.D. Vance is going to lead peace talks in Pakistan this weekend. The 4 astronauts aboard the Artemis spacecraft spending their last day in space after sending home pictures from the far side of the moon.
We have to get back. There's so much data that you've seen already, but all the good stuff is coming back with us. There's so many more pictures, so many more stories.
That's Artemis 2 pilot Victor Glover. They're going to splash down off California tomorrow night. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon, expect partly sunny skies with a breeze reaching a high of 69. Tonight, anticipate periods of rain which could cause poor visibility, ponding on roadways, and travel delays, so be ready for a slow morning commute. The low will be 44. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
What happens when a school is truly built around teenage girls? Their growth, their confidence, their faith, their future? You get bold young women who lead without hesitation, speak without fear, and discover exactly who they're meant to be. Rosary College Prep in Aurora is the only all-girls college prep high school in the western suburbs, and we've been doing this since 1962. We know how girls learn best. That's why our students thrive in STEM, the arts, and leadership at remarkable rates, even earning AP Platinum status from the College Board. At Rosary, your daughter won't just be educated. She'll be seen, challenged, and supported every single day. Girls here collaborate, inspire each other, and grow grounded in faith and driven by purpose. Come see it for yourself. Schedule a personal tour at rosaryprep.org. That's rosaryprep.org.
All right, get it going. Get your garage looking shiny and new. Do what I did. Call our good friends at Level 10 Coatings, because if your garage floor is cracked, covered in salt, it's just an eyesore from the winter's brutal blast, well, get your fix so you can start enjoying your garage this spring. A permanent solution, folks. Level 10 Coatings brought my garage floor from dirty and gross to showroom shiny in just one day. Literally, I went to work, I came home, and it was done. My husband and I love it. I use the garage as an extra bonus room. Ping pong table there. I've got a Peloton my friend donated to me and a TV. Beautiful. And again, it was done in one day with employees, not subcontractors. These are people who work for the company. Like-minded individuals, folks. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, guaranteed to never chip or peel. Mention me, Amy, for $500 off. So get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. It's not an epoxy job. Oh, no, it's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. Again, one day and they're done. Schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level10coatings.com, level10coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
What's the Hassleus having mattress right now?
Beg your pardon?
I can't sleep on that mattress. This is driving me crazy.
Whoa, you're talking way too low. It reminds me of the way too low prices on Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more at Hassleus Mattress.
Are they really that low?
You're probably asking, how low? Check out the Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Aspen Cove B Hybrid. Others sell it for $1,015, but Hassleus has it for just $846.
My mattress.
Maybe you're inquiring about a free box spring with the purchase of any Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic mattress for a limited time, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base. I assume you're asking whether Hassleus Mattress has employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery, setup and removal of your old mattress, and free financing.
Huh?
Yes, we do.
Holy cow!
See? People are talking about Hassleus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleus.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4 everremodeling.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. You can watch us on Breakthrough Ideas YouTube page and Facebook page. You can also watch us live at 560theanswer.com. You can download the podcast, Jeannie, at Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcast, because a lot of people say, you know, I'm working during the day. Sometimes people sneak off and listen, but, you know, later on you can just download the podcast and listen commercial free, and that's how a lot of people do it. And also you can follow us on social media. I'm on X at Amy Jacobson, and you're at Jeannie Ives. So you can always reach out to us, and 312-642-5600.
Well, speaking of my X account, I will tell you this. I put together a post about the Illinois Senate Appropriations Committee yesterday, and I had the most reposts I've ever had and the most engagement. 1,000 people reposted this particular information, probably because they were shocked by it, and I was shocked too.
And what's the headline?
Oh, the headline is 41% of students pay nothing, no tuition and fees at the University of Illinois.
Whoa. 41%, almost half of the students pay
41%.
zero tuition.
Yeah.
At University of, now, I have 3 kids in college right now, so you have my attention.
Okay, this is not...
Because this is a bunch of beejive.
Yeah, it is, and parents were very upset about
because
it.
My son, straight A's, #1 at Amundsen, goes to Georgia Tech, but applied at University of Illinois. They didn't offer any merit. And you want to keep people in Illinois, don't you? Especially people who are bright minds, who are going to be engineers, chemical or mechanical. You want to keep them in the state, but there was none of that.
Trust me, these are not all ROTC students. These are not your merit-based scholars with high or near perfect ACT and SAT scores. There's definitely a segment of them that are Promise Scholarship award winners. These are for very low income students that get everything is paid for them as well, and they through grants and scholarships, and a very, very minimal work requirement. And so it's not even those. There's a whole other host of people, and we actually don't even know much about this cohort of people that are not paying any tuition and fees. Some of them could easily be non-citizens. There were not enough questions asked of President Killeen. This is him talking about what he thinks merits a success, in which I say taxpayers are getting screwed.
Part of the secret of this is the scale that we bring to bear. We now enroll more than 101,000 students, an all-time high, accounting for 53% of all students at public universities in the state of Illinois. Our enrollment growth, which is over about 24% over the past decade, has been strategic and planned, and not just incidental to, but we believe that we're preserving talent in the state of Illinois and providing a world-class education at affordable prices. So that's a product of our commitment to growing access and maintaining affordability and making certain that we reflect the state that we were created to serve. We've steadily increased our own institutional financial aid commitment, creating, thanks to my wonderful chancellors, free tuition programs at each university that we can talk about. We smoothed the pathway for transfers considerably from 2-year colleges and frozen tuition for the majority of the past dozen years. So it's been a significantly sub-inflationary cost trend over the last more than decade. About 41% of our in-state undergraduates now pay no tuition or fees at all.
Shocking.
Our enrollment of underrepresented groups has increased by 61% over the decade, including a 10% increase in black undergraduates and a 9% increase in Hispanic undergraduates just this 1 year, year over year. So double-digit increase in black students in this year. Right now we have students from 101 of Illinois' 102 counties, and there's a question in there, and I can answer it right now if you'd like. It's Pulaski County. Help us with that.
But there's, he said a lot more. This was his testimony before, again, the Illinois State Senate on appropriations for higher education. Of course, he left with asking for more money. They always ask for more money. But one of the other things that they talked about extensively was their summer bridge program. And all the universities have started these summer bridge programs where they take a student and, over the course of the summer, get them up to speed so that they are actually able to handle college curriculum in the fall. And some of that could be soft skills, some of it could be remedial math skills, whatever. But what it tells me, Amy, is that these students that they're bringing in, and again, he's like 63% increase in underrepresented student population. Who are those people? We know who they are, but it doesn't sound like they're ready for college either. And they're paying nothing for tuition and fees. I assure you, that is the cohort.
Is there a benchmark in place that if they don't get at least a D average or a C average, that their money is taken away?
Yeah, there are particular metrics that they have to follow through. And that's the other part of the story, because another part of the in-processing that occurs, and I learned about this when I was listening to another appropriations committee 2 years ago, but they are taking incoming freshmen and putting them through an intake process that includes assessing them for whether or not they are They should be Medicaid eligible. Remember, when our students had to go, we had to prove that they were either still on our health insurance or they had to buy student health insurance through the university.
Oh, yes.
But now, if they're Medicaid eligible, maybe they're emancipated from their parents or whatever, they can get Medicaid. They assess them for Medicaid. They assess them for food stamps. They assess them for taxpayer-funded child care. And they call this college. Come on.
312-642-5600. That's some stunning numbers.
I'll be honest with you. I knew that this was the case well over 7 years ago when I sat down with the chancellor at the University of Illinois in Chicago. He had a small group of us in. There were 2 legislators and he had 3 staffers. There were literally 7 people around the table for lunch. And he said he was very proud of the fact that 40% of his students pay $4,000 or less to go to school. I'm like, I put that in my head. And I got to tell you, there was another committee hearing about education. This was during, a time frame where everybody was complaining about no budgets and all this other stuff. And I went into this committee here, and I think I was the only one who had the courage to ask a student who was complaining about having to pay, that college was too expensive. And I turned to her because she was from UIC.
Right.
And right in front of President Colleen, who you just heard from, I turned around to her and I said, can you tell everybody how much do you pay for college? And she said, $1,500. You could have heard a pin drop because nobody else knew that. Nobody else knew that. But me.
Okay. I wonder how much the University of Illinois is paying kids to go to school there. Because I know somebody who goes to Kent State, full ride, they pay him $20,000 to go to school there. He's now a junior. I know a senior at Denison, they paid him each year $25,000. So he's walking out, no student loans, walking out with $100K because they wanted minorities at these schools. So that could be a possibility. And then again, of those 41% that are not paying tuition, I wonder how many are here illegally.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So many unanswered questions like what's your retention rate? What's your graduation rate? Because what is happening if we are paying tuition and fees for this 41%, they possibly are paying living expenses. But in order to provide for that, they're probably taking out student loans that they can't afford. And so then if they leave without actually having graduated, but with a lot of loan debt for living expenses and nothing to show for it, they're further behind. And so we need to have some sort of understanding about whether or not who should be going to college and who should not be going to college. And the City Journal, and I don't have the article in front of me right now, they just did a really good article on this very topic. So we'll be talking about that more. But speaking of higher education, think about it. If, let's say, 41% of 101,000 students, now some of those are graduate students, okay, but let's say that it's like roughly 40,000 students that pay nothing. You're telling me they can't get a part-time job and at least contribute $1,000 towards their education? Amy.
I know. They could. Because you have a lot of time on your hands when you go to school.
Or how about a summer job?
Anything.
How about just, I don't know, being a hostess on the weekends or
working at a bar or doing, something.
Whatever it might be, right?
Right.
But meanwhile, you've got the University of Illinois Springfield faculty that are on strike. They haven't had a contract for about 11 months, and so they're looking to get a contract. That campus has 4,300 students. It's part of the University of Illinois system, so there's UIUC, Urbana-Champaign, there's Chicago, and then there's UIS, which I think actually used to be a community college, but then they upgraded it because that makes, that's what they do. And they're looking for a payout. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? All those students paying nothing for tuition fees, why don't they just pay a little something and then you don't have to come back to the state taxpayers?
Is there any chance to get President Keelan in front of any kind of committee in Springfield or to answer questions about how many of those 41,000 are here illegally? Or do you pay some students to attend University of Illinois?
Yeah, I mean, they frequently meet with Colleen, and actually staffers could easily go. I mean, state reps, state senators could go and request that they answer all this information about the demographics of the people that are not paying any tuition or fees. I mean, look, NIU, the president there a year ago proudly bragged that 43% of her students pay no tuition and fees. They think this is an achievement. I think everybody ought to have skin in the game. Everybody ought to be a citizen, and everybody ought to be qualified prior to entering college.
Text message from 708. Jeanne and Amy, my niece, left U of I and transferred to Purdue. She left due to all the cheating she saw in her classes with AI. That's interesting. And then another text message from 847. How many students from top-performing Illinois high schools like New Trier and Stevenson can't even get into UIC or into University of Illinois Champaign?
That's always been the allegation. I do think that they've gotten better at accepting Illinois students because that has been such a hot button issue prior to that. One more thing that is kind of gotten my crawl when it comes to higher education that I did want to cover. So just give me a little leeway here because it melds two problem areas for me: higher education and the CJA bill, which is the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. And so what was supposed to happen with the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act is that they were supposed to actually create all of these jobs in that area. And CJA is Illinois' 2001 landmark climate law that seeks to achieve 100% renewable energy in the state by 2050. That is not going to happen.
No.
Part of the law aims to incorporate people from communities that have historically faced economic barriers and environmental damage into the clean energy workforce. This includes jobs in renewable energy manufacturing, installation and storage, electrical vehicle technology, and other ancillary services in the clean energy space. And so they have created this jobs program. Now, Illinois got raked over the coals on this one. Oh my gosh, raked over the coals. How about that? Yeah.
How old are we?
I don't know, but I will tell you that. But anyway, this jobs program never got up and going for 3 years. And there was a huge Auditor General's report saying you have failed to put this jobs program into place. But they have started to do that. And so there was a ceremony in Waukegan at a community college. Let's see here. The College of Lake County. Yeah, they had a phase 1 training for roughly 24 graduates of the college's Clean Energy Workforce Hub, and they had a big graduation ceremony. Now, what's interesting is of the 805 students who have graduated from the CJA Workforce Hubs, only 124 had found employment in the renewable energy sector or adjacent industry as of March 26. According to figures supplied to Capital News Illinois, and I'm reading from a Capital News Illinois article. That's roughly a rate of 15%. So they want to say, well, the program's just ramping up. But let's be honest with you, Lake County College got $23 million to help with this program. Okay, I'm sorry, not just them. The state allocates nearly $23 million annually for the CJA Workforce Hub Network, which comprises 14 hubs around the state to provide training for entry-level jobs in the clean energy sector. But get this, Amy, to make the training more feasible for students, each one receives $13 hourly stipend while in the classroom.
So they're getting paid to go to school.
Along with assistance for childcare, transportation, and housing. To go to school for a renewable energy job where 15% of them are maybe going to get a job after they go through this, but that's not all of it. They also have a 4-week bridge program, just like we have the summer bridge program. They have a 4-week bridge program. And according to this one graduate, it's not anything to really make you employable at all. It's just teaching you soft skills.
Soft skills.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, this is another like higher education, combined with renewable energy, sort of
feel good
stuff that Pritzker is funding with our money. And it's all a joke. Look, if the solar industry needs people in the solar field to do the job, 1, they're going to train them. Or 2, it's going to be a union job that you're going to have to go into a union shop to get training for. But this whole thing higher ed is out of control in the state. That's all I got to say.
All right, coming up on The Real Story, we'll take your phone calls, 312-642-5600. You're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
This is the show that the Chicago Press Corps and the Democrats in Springfield don't want you to hear. It's The Real Story on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Here are what some Virago users have to say.
I started using Virago a little more than a year ago. I have 3 school-age kids, and they are constantly bringing home whatever bug is going around school, whether it's a cold, a sore throat, whatever it is. Everyone in the house was getting sick. I started taking Virago to help boost my immune system, and it worked. I haven't been sick since starting Virago. I use just a half a dose daily unless I feel like I'm getting something. Then I'll take a full dose for a day or 2, and I'm fine. I also feel great and more on top of my game, like my memory is sharper. I'm not forgetting things. I absolutely recommend Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
When someone you love is living with memory loss, finding the right care isn't just important, it's everything. At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, memory care isn't an add-on, it's all we do.
When Mom moved into Terra Vista, everything changed. She's safe, engaged, and surrounded by people who truly understand dementia. And I finally get to just be her daughter again.
Terra Vista was built specifically for caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, with secure indoor and outdoor spaces, innovative therapies, and a community that feels like home. Residents stay active, connected, and respected every single day.
And the best part? Mom can live with dignity, and I have peace of mind.
If memory care is in your future, choose the community designed for it. Choose Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace. Schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you. Terra Vista, where memory care lives. AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. 312-642-5600. Thanks for the text messages. Keep them coming. Let's go to Mitchell. He's been hanging on for dear life. He joins us from Des Plaines. Good morning, Mitchell. How are you? Almost good afternoon here.
Yeah, good afternoon, gals. In my area, District 63, that's kind of Niles, Des Plaines, Bay North. Those grammar schools, there's like 7 of them. They want to do a huge renovation project, of course, at the expense of the taxpayers. And they're having all these like discussions. And when I told the superintendent, I said, I need full transparency of the money that you've had for decades, which you've done nothing. So we have to pay the taxpayers at 86%. Okay, keep that in mind for these low-level scumbags, okay, that do absolutely nothing. And then when you call them out, these fat slobs, okay, this guy has the temerity, right? So he says, well, I'm going to send you a third party where we go through a third party. Everyone who's a citizen in their district has the right for these documents. It's a third party that just give you docs and docs of numbers, but they never isolate the numbers of their how much they make per year and their salaries because they don't want you to know it. This is how much of a scam they are. I go, you have the temerity for the taxpayers to be the burden to put up the front side of the infrastructure of these schools while we pay your salaries and your pensions. Why don't you take a pay cut, you fat slut who doesn't even live in the municipality, and give that money to these schools? Because if it was up to you, Mr. Idiot, you couldn't fund your own school to save your life. So go work at Wrightsport, you pathetic moron, because when you call them out, okay, these guys are weak. They know nothing about the law of supply and demand. They have the business sense of a broken chair, okay, and they're as dumb as a grapefruit. They sit on their fat asses, and they're fat, and they're a bunch of slobs, and they're a bunch of woke idiots, and you call them out. You've got to call them out. Do you hear what I'm saying here, Daddy-O? It's outrageous. And Jeannie, what is our comeback? Besides attending these meetings, that's all you can do. Otherwise, you have to move out of the state. Please.
All right, Mitchell, before she answers that question, are you by any chance related to Sean from Elmwood Park? Are you guys first cousins, second cousins?
No, But Mitchell, you're absolutely right. This is infuriating what the school districts have done. And and your superintendent, look, I have always said this and it's absolutely 100% true. Superintendents are the biggest cowards in all of bureaucracy. They would never, ever stand up for taxpayers. They never stand up for what was right. They bought into the COVID crap. Now, now it's okay to take students' phones because you couldn't figure that out on your own. I mean, they never do anything. They are cowards. Cowards. Absolutely. And unfortunately, there are people like Colin Corbett and Ed Sullivan, Republicans in name only, who actually help pass referendum for these woke school districts as a side job. I mean, it's just disgusting that they run the campaigns for them. They did it in my own school district. They're the ones who ran the referendum for $151 million. No, the only thing you can do is literally, I don't know. I mean, leave or I guess, I don't know, organize your community, but that's really hard work in this state. Thanks, Mitchell. I'm with you, man.
And thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine. God bless you and God bless America.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since